Welcome back, everyone. Today I wanted to talk about a painting that's been preoccupying me for several months, and I finally know why. After watching Inspiragio's excellent video on Dali's Ascension of Christ, I made up my mind to lay down my own findings on the subject. There is, in fact, so much going on in Dali's Ascension that it's hard to know where to begin. So today we will be looking at an uncanny coincidence between two great men, Carl Jung and Salvador Dali, and how one's unconscious symbolism and the other's conscious description of heavenly events points to the same reality. Much of Dali's surrealistic style comes from hypnagogic imagery, which is imagery that breaks halfway into consciousness for some people as they fall asleep.
Your paintings have a very dreamlike quality, and I do find them fascinating. I'd like to look at...
There's no dream, because it's never dream. It's hypnagogical image.
Hypnagogical image.
Before.
What is that?
It's 10 minutes before sleep. 10 minutes or 15 minutes before you fall sleeping, appear some genius, Dali, some kind of very vivid, irrational, and Lilliputian images.
Dali had a method for capturing this where he would hold a key in his hand as he fell asleep and let it fall into a plate, waking him up in the middle of the hypnagogic state so he could capture it in his art. However, the inspiration for his Ascension of Christ painting came from a cosmic dream, Dali's own words, that he had in 1950. In the dream, which was in vivid color, he saw the nucleus of an atom, which we see in the background of the painting. The painting itself wasn't completed until 1958. Now, keep that dream year, 1950, in the back of your head. The atom, which looks like both the sun and a sunflower, positioned behind Christ's feet, also corresponds directly symbolically to antique crown chakra imagery from 17th century Nepal.
We remove the barrier and bang, Sahasrara, the serpent becomes one with the lotus at the crown of the head, the 1,000-petaled lotus. Sahasrara means 1,000-petaled. Here it is. But in the center, all we see are two footprints. These are the footprints of Vishnu that are to be worshipped.
So, the ascending Christ takes the place of Vishnu, the cosmic god in Hinduism, whose incarnation is Krishna. There's some implicit wordplay here with Krishna and Christos, and typically there is a lot of wordplay in dreams. If the crown chakra, or Sahasrara, is the highest level of enlightenment one can reach on earth, Christ is ascending above that bodily into heaven. It's unclear whether Dali himself ever actually saw this image. Now, the nuclear part of this painting is more than self-evident. This was the capstone work of Dali's nuclear mysticism era, and the explosion, the atom, all of the imagery is nuclear in the literal sense. Dali was interested in alchemy, and in fact created a series of graphic watercolor works entitled Alchemy des philosophes, representing alchemical themes in abstract. But his most alchemical work is in fact the Ascension, and it's been staring us in the face the whole time. Behind the traditional explosion is a more liquid-seeming one, and this to me looks like liquid mercury, which the alchemists called quicksilver and associated with Mercurius. Mercurius was the beginning and end of the alchemical magnum opus, a world-creating spirit and divine hermaphrodite, a symbol of the integration of opposing forces like light and darkness, Sol and Luna, masculine and feminine. Finally, Christ's pose is triangular, the two circles are coming together, and the painting is framed as a perfect square. Thusly, the entire work is a conjunctio oppositorum, and the coming together of the philosopher's stone. Now, remember how the dream that this painting was based on took place in 1950? 1950 was the year the Assumptio Mariae was declared dogma. This was the declaration that Mary was assumed body and soul into heavenly glory. Carl Jung was obsessed with the dogma and linked it back to alchemy and the deification of matter. In what he believes was his most important work, Answer to Job, Jung states that it is psychologically significant for our day that in the year 1950, the heavenly bride was united with the bridegroom. The Assumptio Mariae points to the hieros gamos in the pleroma. Let's pause here and define some terms. Hieros gamos is Greek for holy wedding, and pleroma is a complex word that generally refers to the Godhead or the totality of divine powers. So Jung is saying the dogma points to a holy wedding in the Godhead. He goes on, the nuptial union in the thalamus signifies the hieros gamos, and this in turn is the first step toward incarnation, toward the birth of the Savior who, since antiquity, was known as the Filius Solis et Lunae, the Filius Sapientiae, and the equivalent of Christ. From what I can find, though this painting depicts exactly what Jung described was happening in the Pleroma in 1950, he never once saw it. He did indeed comment upon one of Dali's Christ paintings, namely Christ of St. John of the Cross, but never the Ascension. I would like to close with a quote from Salvador Dali, who, though perhaps not conscious of what he was revealing in the deepest of his works, is my favorite artist of all time and deserves to be continually studied. All great art is born of alchemy and going beyond death, but I make gold by transcending my innards through hyperconsciousness. Thank you, and be well. Anarcho Sagas signing out.